Good evening, folks. It's Tuesday night. That means one thing. We are here live with the Missed a Shift Racing League for the Missed a Shift Las Vegas 300. Tonight we'll be doing 200 laps around the beautiful mile-and-a-half Las Vegas Motor Speedway here. The track is located, of course, in Las Vegas, just over 1.5 miles. Right now the track temp is a very cool 80 degrees right now, and looking at the weather here, air temp is 70, track temp of 80, humidity, of course we are out in the desert, so humidity is very low, only 6%, it's mostly cloudy, and tonight I think we're going to see some really good racing. I know last week we saw the struggle at Atlanta with the cars being very, very loose, and the overcast conditions. We got off to a rocky start, but the drivers finally got some grip put into the track, and we saw some amazing racing throughout that, just like the week prior at Daytona. Now here, week 3 at Las Vegas. Alan, what do you think we're going to see tonight?
You know, I think things are going to look pretty good. These guys are really good at keeping their lines normally. You know, this track seems pretty quick, but man, watching in practice here, we've got a lot of guys that appear that they're pushing the car a little harder than they need to, trying to find the limit here. So hopefully they get that sorted out before we go green, and we see some nice green flag runs and pit stops.
Well, knowing these guys, they're been synonymous so far, and the 2 races that we have covered already, that we know that they can go a long distance on a green flag run. It like I have to repeat again, just like at Atlanta last week, we may have gotten off to a little bit of a rocky start with a bunch of early cautions, but once the track got rubbered in enough to where the drivers could actually wheel the car a little bit harder, it got so much more entertaining as the drivers were able to just completely put on a show like they normally do.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to an interesting race.
I don't think we're going to have to worry about having a dull or boring race with these guys. That's definitely, this is definitely the best group of guys yet that I've seen running the A-Class car, which I know I've said it before, but I'll say it just like I talk all the time about downforce with the K&N and the Cyber Racing Association, but the A car is by far the hardest of the 3 series cars that runs out of the Monster Energy Cup cars, which we see tonight, the Xfinity Series B cars, and then the Camping World trucks, which coming up on Sunday, we will have the season finale for the DieHard Racing League at Charlotte in the K&Ns, and we will be moving on to the trucks. So that is going to be fun, seeing how the drivers are pretty much done with the K&N car. They had fun during the beginning of the season, but we did see that it's definitely a driver's car, and a lot of the drivers that just didn't like it because the car was too tight, which we kind of figured was going to happen, but we had to give it a try. And as always, our Division 2 champion is the one that picks the car. So the K&N is going to be taken off the list, and we're going to go back to what we had the biggest turnouts, and that would obviously be the Camping World truck. So it's going to be a great season for that, and also the fact that we picked up a series sponsor for 2 seasons. So that's a big step forward for DieHard Racing. And with Cyber Racing, we're in discussion about talking about sealing a deal for their dirt series as well. So we've got a lot of airtime possibly coming up here on DieHard Live TV. Right now we are in single car qualifying. The reason you see multiple cars is it will switch around from a random car to another car. Like right now we see the 41 of Mike Learman. He's slowing down. It'll randomly switch over to another car, seeing how this is closed qualifying. And I just noticed, I love seeing that here at Vegas. It's the Dodge.com. It's nice to see Dodge somewhere still in NASCAR, even though they haven't been here in forever unless you go to Canada. But I'm actually really looking forward to the dirt when it comes out, because I know there's probably at least 100 leagues that are just sitting waiting for dirt to be released. But so far, out of everything we've broadcasted right here, I think this group is by far the most talented as for having not only running the A car but running it in a fixed. Right now, it looks like our pole sitter for the time being will be the 45 of Carl Shedd. Brian Johnson is holding down the second spot, and Bruce Ackerman, the last week's pole sitter, is sitting in third. But that just got switched up now as David Washington is going to take the top spot. So I think right now, as we can hear, the engine sounds have definitely come down, which means we're getting ever closer to the session, advancing to the gridding state as we see the U.S. Army Marching Band is getting ready to come out and present our nation's colors and, most importantly, our national anthem, one of the greatest things ever put into all sporting events here. And they always do, week in, week out. They do a phenomenal job with the national anthem. So a big thank you and hats off to the U.S. Army Marching Band in advance as we get ready here to kick things off at Las Vegas. Once again, it is a 200-lap, 300-mile race here, the Mr. Shift Las Vegas 300. And now as we move over to the gridding state, I'd ask for everybody to please rise, remove your hats, as the U.S. Army Marching Band brings us our national anthem. Fantastic job as always there by the U.S. Army Marching Band. If that song right there does not make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, then you are not a true patriot. But moving on, we are going to give you the starting grid here. Sitting on pole is the 98 of David Washington with a 28.709. Starting on the outside of him will be Carl Shedd in the 45. Rolling off third will be Brian Johnson. Fourth will be Bruce Ackerman. Ken Richardson rolls off fifth. Keith Nelson 6th. Kevin Fetty will roll off 7th. Howard Wendell will roll off 8th. Coming in, starting in the 9th position will be Nick Crawford, and Judd Danielson will round out our top 10. Rolling off 11 will be Jonathan Eason. Mike Learman in the 41 is 12th. 13th place goes to Mike Donahue. Charlie Sanborn will start 14th. David Gainforth in the 101 will roll off 15th. Sean Meyer in the 66 starts 16th. Chad Payne 17th. William Eason 18th. David May 19th. Glenn Meering will round out your top 20. Jake Dorton 21st. Joshua Ramos 22nd. Aiden Kohler Jr. 23rd. Gary Weston 24th. That'll round your field out. And as we are on the pace lap, pace car is making its way into turn 3. It's getting ready to duck down onto pit road, and we will let the 98 lead us into the restart zone. And once we get the green flag here, we will commence racing here. As once again, it is the Mr. Shift Racing League's Las Vegas 300. So as they come in the restart zone, green flag is out. We are live here at Las Vegas. Got a good clean start as they come out onto the backstretch for the first time. As we come around to take the first lap, it's going to be the 98 of David Washington. Leads the first one. Can he lead the last one? We see the 8 of Nick Crawford up there on the outside line right there in the NASA car. The 91 there of Kevin Fetty. See, just like we saw last week at Atlanta, it looks like right now the tire pressures still need to come up on the cars, and we're seeing them bottom out as they're coming out of turn 4 right there, but we saw the same exact thing at Atlanta, so that's probably just because the tire pressures haven't built up yet. Once we see that happen, we'll see the cars kind of raise up a little bit, and we should see a little bit less of the cars throwing sparks as they come around the corners, but it is progressive banking, so with the track bar and the truck arm being back there, it's probably a little bit of either the spoiler or a combination of the spoiler and the truck arm just dragging the track ever so slightly until those tires come up. Right now we're seeing the action is heating up right back here. So we see the 28 of Brian Johnson is under fire by the 71. And that's not the only battle, as we see the 49 has made it around the 8. Out front, it's still David Washington right now. He's got a 0.2 second lead over second place of Carl Shedd. they barrel out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. You can see these cars are actually, looks like they're hooked up very well versus what we were seeing in the official series. I know I did a little bit of practice for the NIS, and I couldn't even run the car 4 or 5 laps around here without getting it loose.
As this is a battle back here for 13th, the 66, the 101, and the 1. They were just about 3 wide here.
So we see the 66 here is going to try and look low on the inside of the 1 as they come out of 3 and 4. He's not going to be able to clear him this time, but there's still a lot of laps left here, plenty of time for position, and hopefully tonight we will see a lot of green flag laps, which will force green flag pit stops, which we love seeing happen here. Looks like out front we've got a new leader. The 45 of Carl Shedd has taken the top spot away from David Washington, so we're going to go up there and see what's going on. See right there, the 45, that is your race leader. Right behind him, though, is the 98 of David Washington. You know, Alan, at this pace right now, the way they're running here, we might start seeing lap traffic a lot sooner than we predicted. We're only 12 laps, coming at 13 laps to, into the race. This time buys. I just got a shot of the hoods there. It looks like the 45 and the 98 might be teammates. They're running the same paint job, just different colors. Take a look at their hoods.
Oh, how about that?
So it does appear that we have teammates battling for the lead out front. Meanwhile, the third car in the picture we see right there in the Lowe's paint scheme will be the 51 of Brian Ackerman. He was our pole sitter last week at Atlanta. So out front right now, it seems like the teammates are just working together here as we see the 98 gets right up on the bumper of the 45, and it's keeping them a little bit faster than the rest of the field as they've got a little bit of a buffer zone. From first to third, it's still under half a second, but it seems that these two cars hooked up together, they can kind of get a little bit of draft going. I know most people just associate draft with a super speedway track, but with a track like Las Vegas and a track like Atlanta, if you're close enough to a car, there still is draft. It's just not as significant as what you would see as a plate track. But nonetheless, if you can hook up with, say, your teammate, or it appears here the first and second place cars right now are, you do have a bit of an advantage because you can get out there and get a little bit of a buffer. As we've seen, the gap has now switched to almost a 0.6 of a second lead from first to third. So right now, I think the smartest thing going on is the 98 and the 45 working together, getting these runs and keeping that little bit of a buffer between them and the next scoring position car.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just kind of scrolled
Anybody
through the
home?
field here, and everybody seems to be pretty much single file at this point, and just kind of feeling the car out by the looks of it.
Well, we are going to be coming to 19 laps complete this time by, and so far it seems that everybody has gotten the groove down in practice, which once again I've got to say these guys never fail to impress, because they only run a 30-minute practice versus a lot of leagues like our league. We run a 110-minute practice. Cyber runs a 80-minute practice. So and we got the 98. He's going to be challenging here for the lead here. So swap the top spot around. The 98 of David Washington is going to reclaim the lead. That'll put Carl Shedd back to second spot. Bruce Ackerman is still holding down the third spot in the Lowe's Chevrolet there. Right now we've got two Fords at the front of the field. Let's take a lap around the track inside of this car and see exactly how the leader is running things here. Nice high arc into the wall there. He's able to get right down and apex the corner, right back out to the wall again. Now this is the most crucial corner right here. 3 and 4 is deadly with the A car from what I've experienced, but we can see that David can take the car right down there and then bring it right back out to the wall, which is no easy feat, especially for me. But then again, I don't often run the A car, so these guys definitely know what they're doing here. Meanwhile, we see the 1 of Charlie Sanborn. He is currently sitting in 12th position. So we see the 91 of Kevin Fetty is going to look low and make the move on the 8 of Nick Crawford, but Nick's going to try and battle it back there on the outside line, which, as we've seen, especially with the official series, that the outside to middle line is really where you want to run the car, but Kevin's doing a great job keeping that car down on the low line, where a lot of people, myself included, I would have lost it. As right now, he's going to make the move here on the 49. The 8's going to try and dip down and make it as well, but Charlie Sanborn is going to dive all the way down to the bottom of the track to try and take a spot, and he's going to take that from the 8, as Kevin has managed to pass the 8 and the 49. So now Charlie is around the 49, and the 8 of Nick Crawford, he's going to get around the 49 as well. So a lot of moving going on right here. So this is definitely the battle to be watching, it appears right now, as we see Kevin is now on the high side and is being challenged on the low line by the 8 of Nick Crawford as they come out of 2.
So kind of just looking through the stats here a little bit, it appears right now that Gary Weston is so far the biggest mover of the race. He started 24th and he is currently running 18th and trying to make his way up further.
Well, he still has a ton of time, but already looking at it, last time I looked at the lap counter, we were at 18 and we're already at 26. This race is going by very fast. We got action on the track there. You see the 49, he sustained a little bit of damage. I know we're under green flag, but we're going to go ahead and take a look back at that and see just exactly what transpired. We see him get a piece of the wall there, and it looks like he just was able to pull it down, gather everything back up. We can see heavy damage, though, on the right front of it, but other than that, everything looks good. But there are no quick fixes with this league, so actually, I take that back. There is one quick repair, so it looks like the 49 will probably go down and use his up as he is on pit road right now. We see the tires going up, but I don't see the damage fixed on it yet. And it did look like in that replay that he made a little bit of contact with the 41, but it looked like it was ghost contact. Now, makes you wonder right now, if he's sitting here getting repairs done manually, is he possibly thinking of the bigger picture and saving his one lifeline to the world, that being the quick fix?
But you know what? That could be
we see the 70 right now. He's mowing the grass a little bit. He kind of got loose in the tri-oval. He's going to gather it back up and keep that car going. So I think what we're seeing now is these cars are getting loose on the long run. But so far, 30 laps, 31 this time by. Green flag since the initial start of the race. This is just absolutely what we love seeing. Even though there was contact with the 49 on the wall, and it appeared like it was just a ghost contact with the 41. We'll take a look at the 41 to see if he has any damage. Does not appear that the 41 is damaged any, so it might have been just a ghosting. As we see cars coming down pit road right now, I think we're going to start seeing maybe a little bit of strategy call going on here.
The 66 of Sean Meyer just took the 10 spot away from the 8 car.
Right now, I think the drivers are starting to feel exactly what the cars are going to do on a longer run here. But we've always seen that no matter how long a run has progressed, that even if the cars start handling absolutely horrible, the guys still can keep control of these cars, which I can't preach that enough. Is it looks like the 8 might have grazed the outside wall just a little bit there, but nothing serious as he's gonna come under fire for position there.
Yeah, even if he didn't do any damage, though, if you scrub that wall just a little bit, it's going to slow the car up and allow the guy behind you just to walk by. So,
which was enough because the 7 did get by, but now the 7, it looked almost like Nick was going to dive it down there, but I think, judging by the way he exited turn 2 there, his car might have taken a swing towards the tight side as the 7 is just walking away with it. Now we see the 66 is about to make a move here on the 101.
The 70 of Mike Donahue's down on pit road. He takes 4 tires fuel. He's down and away, 14.6.
Meanwhile, now the action here is between the 66 and the 101. The 101 is the Cartoon Network car down there on the bottom line, and we see that the 66 is able to get a good run here coming off of 2. Oh, they make contact. Great save by the 101 of David Gainforth, as now he does have some right rear damage, or some straight on rear damage to that car. That's definitely going to slow him down a little bit, and you got to wonder if that upset the nose of the 66 any. But once again, we saw how sideways that car was. He was able to step out of the gas, straighten it out, and keep all 4 wheels pointed in the right direction.
The 07 William Eason is on pit road. He's taken 4 tires and fuel. He is down and away with a 15.3.
starting to wonder now, judging by the way we see that the 66 has dropped off a little bit, if he does have some nose damage, which he does have a little bit of a crease there by the hood, so that contact with the 101 looks like it might hurt him a little bit, but I think the 101 got the worst of the deal out of that one, definitely with the back of his spoiler being wadded up like that.
And I mean, we're looking at 39 laps coming here by the stripe in the books. So, and we've stayed green the whole run.
As right now we are looking from the rear camera of the 66 of Sean Meyer as we see the 101 of David Gainforth is down on pit road. The car we're seeing directly behind is the 8 of Nick Crawford. You see the 7 there of Jake Dorton.
The right sides are up on the 101. There's left sides. He's taking fuel. He's down and away with a 14.9.
We saw there coming out of 4. It looked like Kevin Petty had a good run coming off. Couldn't quite get the run going, and he looks like he did scrape the wall just a little bit, enough to slow him down. We see a lot of cars coming down pit road. I see the 71. He's one of them. So Alan will continue to throw out the green flag stops here as we are in our first set of green flag pit stops on lap 41 here.
85 of Judd Danielson is 4 tires and fuel, 15 seconds.
Looks like our leaders are on pit road as well.
Yeah, everybody's hitting pit road fast here. It's hard to keep up. Chad Payne is taking 4 tires and fuel at a 14.9.
Right now the battle on the track is between the 91 of Kevin Petty and the 66 of Sean Meyer. We see cars coming off of pit road. We see the 71, the 28. A lot of these guys are gonna have a rocket ship here for about the first 10 laps. So we're gonna see a lot of cars moving a lot faster than the rest of the field right now as we see the 10 car. He is on fresh tires. He's going to easily drive around the 91 of Kevin Petty because of the fact that Kevin has not come to pit road yet. And we're going to see the 28 here of Brian Johnson. He's going to ride tight right now behind, but he's going to take the low line as Kevin goes to the high side to allow him by, which is great racing etiquette to do so. I mean, I've been in a lot of races, and I've seen a lot of races that we've covered where sometimes these guys who are out there on older tires, they don't really want to move out of the way for the guys on new tires, and a lot of times we see what happens is they get run over because they don't get out of the way. You can only hold off somebody on new tires for so long before they either move you out of the groove or they just get tired of being stuck behind you and they dump you.
All right, Sean Meyer, he's been down pit road with a 14.8. He did take 4 tires of fuel. David May is now down on pit road in that number 3 machine, and he is undergoing his pit stop. That will cycle through all of our cars on the lead lap here, and he pulled it off with a 14.7.
And with the first round of green flag pit stops coming to a close, that will cycle the lead back over to the 98 of David Washington, second place, and we have a caution on the track. All right, let's see what happened here. Looks like he got a little bump there from the 71, which puts him hard into the wall and turns him around. Keeps the brakes locked down on it, but that is going to bring our first caution of the race out. So I guess it's a good thing that we saw the 49 of Howard Wendell when he went down pit road after hitting the wall for the first time, that he did not use his quick fix. So now he'll definitely be using that one, as that car definitely took a hard hit to the wall.
Well, just before that caution came out, I was getting ready to announce that Charlie Sanborn, he had the best time on pit road for 4 tires and fuel at a 13.7.
Well, as we see the leaders coming down pit road now, let's see who gets the best stop this time around, as we've got everybody in the lead lap coming down. As we get a great aerial shot here of pit road. See who makes it on and off first, as we see cars down and away. 98 is going to roll out. I do believe he's going to get edged out, though. 45 is going to get edged out. It does appear that the 4 of Jonathan Eason was able to, looks like he made it past the 45, but I don't know. We'll have to see once the timing loop comes back around. But right now, as it sits, we've got the 4 of Jonathan Eason in second position, which will put Carl Shedd back to third. So now we've got a Chevy busting up those 2 Fords up front.
And I'm going to assume that Charlie Sanborn probably only come down and took a splash, as his pit stop was an 8.8 second.
Maybe a splash and a windshield tear off, because I did notice that when we took that one onboard lap with the 98, that there was a lot of rubber being kicked up by these cars. So I wouldn't doubt that a lot of, if he did go down for just a splash and go, that he also took a windshield tear off of that, because I can only imagine, as we are already closing in on lap 50 here, that these windscreens get dirty very quickly here, especially with the amount of rubber we're seeing already being thrown up. So probably about halfway through to about 3/4 distance of the race, we'll start looking up towards the outside wall in the turns and see just how much the marble buildup is out there. And we'll start to see the rubber building in on the corners. We see rubbers being kicked up by the cars right here on pace laps here. Right now we do have a couple cars that are going to elect to get a wave by, being the 3 and the 66. Although according to the scoring loop, until this thing updates, it's right now scoring the 66 of Sean Meyer as our leader. But I do know that they will be taking wave bys. Oh, look at that. We have a new leader. The 66 was able to beat the 98 off of pit road. So there we go. New leader, 66 Sean Meyer. So now our inside row is 3 Chevys. Our outside front 3 cars are 2 Fords and a Chevy, so I'm not quite sure the balance of how many, looks like we have a predominant field of Chevy here. I'm only seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 Fusions. Don't see any Camrys that I've seen yet. There might be about 5 5 or 6 Fusions, but it's mostly, it looks like it's all the Chevy SS. So we will restart this race on lap 50 as the pace car gets ready to dive down pit road. Sean Meyer is going to lead us into the restart zone. Green flag is out. We are back racing here at Las Vegas Motor Speedways. As we saw, it looked like the 66 was trying to stack the field up a little bit there. The outside got a good run, but they had to slow it up because you do not want to pass before the stripe. But right now we see rubber flying to the outside of the track. The 98 and the 45, no surprise that they're going to be working together. Right now the 66 is going to be the lone car down the bottom as the 28 of Brian Johnson is trying to get up there with him. We see that outside line is just prevailing as the 98 and the 45 are checking out early already. Meanwhile, they're still battling behind. We've got the 66, the 28, the 1, the 51, the 71, the 10. A lot of cars battling for a lot of real estate in a small space right here.
Now, Art, you were mentioning the car manufacturers. There are 5 Fords in this race. There are 0 Toyotas.
I wonder if that tells you anything about Toyota, other than they have a really sweet dash. It is kind of odd though that we do not see any Camrys here. Meanwhile, the 51 of Brian Ackerman, he's going to make his way around the 1 of Charlie Sanborn, or Bruce Ackerman, excuse me. Still new to the names. It's only the 3rd race, and it's going to take probably a couple more races before I get on a first name basis with these guys. So you see the 1 of Charlie Sanborn, he was all over the back bumper of the 51 of Bruce Ackerman there coming out of 2.
71 of Keith Nelson there. He's trying to make a power move along the outside.
That will be against the 10 there. Let's see if he can make it stick on the outside as he's going to. I think it was a smart call. I think the 10 might have lifted a little bit and let him in there, which usually is the best thing to do if you want to maintain those tires. As we saw, they went 40 plus laps green flag. We already had a full sequence of green flag pit stops, but I think right now the best thing a lot of these drivers are doing is trying to conserve. But right now we see the 51 of Bruce Ackerman is he's trying to make the move on the 66 of Sean Meyer, and he's going to do so going into 1. See Charlie Sanborn, he wants to take that spot away as well.
Man, these guys are steady here.
I was just about to say that. Not just that. Last week we did have our rough spots and hiccups, but once again it was because the track had absolutely 0 rubber on it. It was a cold track. There was just an ill handling car. It was extremely loose until rubber got built in. The overcast conditions didn't help. I knew once we made it out here on the beautiful West Coast that things were going to be absolutely 100% the opposite of what we saw last week. So no surprise to see that we've got a lot of great battling going on here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Right now, our leader is Carl Shedd. Second place is going to be the 98 of David Washington. Jason Eason in the 4 car is our 3rd place spot. Brian Johnson in the 28 is our 4th place car, and Bruce Ackerman, the 51, is our 5th spot. As we see, the lead is exchanged again. David Washington has retaken the lead. We see the RPMs here on these cars. They're definitely doing what we saw last week at Atlanta. They were not getting a break. They were staying wound up good and tight once they got rubbered in, and here at Vegas is no exception. We see them redlining, going through the tri-oval all the way into one, just over 9,000 RPM. For these motors to handle this type of abuse for 200 laps here, that's like we talked about last week. You really gotta have faith in your engine builder that they put that motor together to withstand the abuse that these cars take week in and week out. Right now we are looking at the 85 of Judd Danielson. He started 10th. He's currently in 9th. His fastest lap was a 29.138. His last was a 30.061.
As the 10 car just in front of them does kind of a quick little crossover on the backside of the 1 to get underneath him here in turn 4, trying to take that position.
And he's going to get it. Now, looking back with that number there, I know on Sunday night, the number 10 was the dominant number in the DieHard Racing League as Todd Cray dominated the field at Phoenix, led well over 100 laps, and brought home the checkered flag with only 1 race remaining now in the DieHard Racing League K&N schedule. We've got a very, 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 very close points battle for the lead right now. Robert Barris is our points leader there, but he has to make sure that he does not have a bad race at Charlotte, because he was not able to score enough points at Phoenix to be able to have a no-show to take the championship. But with that being said, he also has a work project that's coming up, so he's going to do his best, like he said, whether he has to bring out his little portable racing rig, which he's seen him use before. And we kind of joked around that, but it's true that he could probably stomp our butts with a Android phone set up to steer and still slay us on the track. But Robert is our defending Division I champion. He's trying to go for back-to-back championships.
As Nick Crawford comes off pit road, I'm not sure if this was a scheduled pit stop or not, but he does go down and take 4 tires and fuel.
I don't know if that's strategy or if it's just the effects of an ill-handling race car.
Well, it's not ill-handling much now. He's taking the numbers down. He is 2 laps down at this point. Make that 3.
Anytime you get a chance to throw 4 fresh Dr. Feelgoods on a car, it goes from ill-handling to a certified rocket ship. And he definitely has the right sponsor for that, seeing how his car is painted up with the NASA scheme. So he should be like the space shuttle and booking now that he's got fresh tires on it. But he is 3 laps down now, so he's got a lot of work to do here, but there's still a lot of laps remaining here at Las Vegas. Right now we see the 85 of Judd Danielson. He's trying to put the move on the 1 of Charlie Sanborn, but Charlie's going to come down and pinch that line off. So that's going to kill the run the 85 had. Now, the paint scheme on the 85 could go one of 2 ways. It's either parents against drunk driving, but I do think it's parents against distracted drivers. I know there are 2 different ones. As we take a look here at the 91 of Kevin Petty running the Big Johnson plugs, Ford Fusion. See the 71 there, Keith Nelson, and the Brad Kozlowski DEI Navy job. Apparently we had a little bit of action on track that did not necessarily bring out a caution flag, but the 43, it appears, has smoked the wall as well as his engine, so he's down on pit road. That would be that little bit of smoke that we saw on pit road the last time they came around through here. As right now we see the 66, he's in that upper groove, throwing some of those marbles up a little bit higher. So we see the 8 there, Nick Crawford. He's right on the back end of the 66s. We see them going into turn 1.
As the 43 has announced, he's used his quick repair. He is back on track and coming around.
And that's always a good sign to see as we see him making his way up onto the backstretch there. We see the 66 way high in the upper groove there coming into 3 and 4. Behind him would be the 101 of David Gainforth in the Car Team Network Chevrolet there. It looks like things are kind of settling down now.
As the 8 of Nick Crawford is passing people as fast as he can, using that good rubber up.
As right now his passes are not for position as of yet, as he is down a few laps, but only being 73 laps into this race, we still have a ton of time, and hopefully he can turn it around and get his laps back and hopefully be here for the end and battle for at least a top 5, if not for the win. Now, once again, we are seeing the exact same kind of race pace as we saw at Daytona. So these guys are no stranger to clicking off fast green flag laps here. As we are approaching halfway here soon, we'll be lap 75 this time at the stripe. Looks like we're starting to see some cars getting a little bit snug there on the exit of 2. Meanwhile, Keith Nelson is in the 71 there, still trying to work over the 85 of Judd Danielson. He's been doing so for at least 5 or 6 laps now, so it's all going to come down to tire management and how hard he's been pushing that car. As we see the 8 of Nick Crawford is right now on his bumper. Nick is on pressure tires, but he is at this point 3 laps down, so he's going to look to the inside of the 71. Now right now, if I was the 71, I'd just move over, let him take it and get ahead, and then just keep focusing on my marks, but we're going to see that happen now, and then we should see the 8 make his move on the 85 and the 1 here within the next couple turns. So we have several races going on right now. I think the biggest one right now is the 8 of Nick Crawford. He is being scored 2 laps down. He's trying to make his way up to the front. That way he can get his lap back the old-fashioned way, and if a caution does come out and he stays in the right spot, he will be the lucky dog, so he will get back on the lead lap. But right now, it's still a battle between Charlie Sanborn, Judd Danielson, and Keith Nelson. And now the 4 of Jason Eason. As of right now, if the caution comes out, the 11 of Glen Meering is in the lucky dog position. So right now, Nick has a lot of work to do in order to get up there and be sitting there to not have to take a wave by. Because we all know that you do want to pit, and that might have been part of his strategy why he pitted early, but that is also the reason why he is down 2 laps right now.
And right now we have completed lap 79. We're working lap 80. We've had 10 lead changes so far out of 80 laps. So, I mean, these guys aren't just laying back and riding. They're shuffling it around, giving it what they can. And we've had 1 caution with a total of 4 laps. So these guys are really winding them up.
I think that is the biggest thing that we can never over compliment these guys about, is exactly how great they are at running a fixed setup in the A cars. We look at the race summary here. 81 laps complete here out of 200 at Las Vegas. As Alan said, 10 lead changes and only 1 caution for 4 laps. So these guys are no stranger to keeping it clean. And with that being said, and hopefully it does not bring out a jinx, we are going to go to everybody's favorite point of view. We're going to crank it up. All right, as always, we never talk during the Crank It Up because we love letting these cars sing their beautiful song as they race around this wonderful 1.5 miles out in the oasis of the desert in Las Vegas here, not too far from the Vegas Strip. And I think the biggest thing to mention is right now as they're coming out of turns 1 and 2, just outside and off to the right is the smaller 3/8 mile bull ring track that iRacing has released during week 13, which I did several of the Bulls on Parade races in the super late model, and I gotta say, that's a fun track to drive on. And right now we see the 85 of Judd Danielson and the 71 of Keith Nelson making their way on the pit road. I think we're seeing the second round of green flag stop starting. Out front right now, it's still Carl Shedd in the 45, being followed behind by teammate David Washington, only 1/10 behind, and then behind that will be the 51 of Bruce Ackerman in third place, and that Lowe's Chevy SS. We see him right here going into 3. He's got the 8 of Nick Crawford behind him. Still a lot of ground he needs to gain. I don't know if those tires will hold up long enough for him to make it to the leader unless Nick stays out and the leaders come down and take tires, but we all know what's going to happen with that. We're going to see exactly what Nick's been doing, completely reversed.
'85, 71, and 1 have all hit pit road, taking 4 tires and fuel.
So it's only a matter of time now before the leaders come down. Oh, we got the 22 spinning around on the backstretch. He's able to keep it straight. Let's go ahead though and take a look and see what happened to him there. He's a little out of shape there. But let's wind back a little bit here and see exactly what happens. You see him now going into 2. He's up on the high side. It looks like he might just clip the wall. Yep, he clips the wall there and then, oh, locks it down and hard side slam into that safer barrier. Luckily, actually, no, that was not the safer barrier. That was a hard concrete wall, so that was a very hard lick for the 22 there of Joshua Ramos.
It looks like he has just used his quick repair, and the car is getting 4 tires of fuel, and it'll be down and away. Yeah, there is no safer barrier there. That is solid concrete.
That looked a lot like a, if only it was the nose first, that would have been a Jeff Gordon right there. Because we've seen Jeff do that, I think 3 or 4 times here at Las Vegas. He's managed to find the one spot on the track that did not have a safer barrier and go head first into it. Meanwhile, out front, we've got a new leader. Jonathan Eason is our leader. Kevin Fetty right now is being scored second, and Carl Shedd in the 45 is our third place car.
And I'll tell you, I don't know what Charlie Sanborn is doing, but he has just knocked off another 13.7 pit stop.
I'll tell you what, he's got Denny Hamlin's backup crew. Denny's crew can rattle off 11.9s all day long. I think he's got his the B team, but still the B team is better than most Cup teams, A teams. As we see right now, the 45 of Carl Shedd and the 98, they are just gonna wheel right around because they are on fresh tires as they are coming up on the 18 right here. So it'll be 6 laps to halfway, this time at the stripe. Right there is your leader, the Ford, Jonathan Eason. But right on his heels, we see that the 45 is only 2 seconds back, and we're going to see that interval shrink very significantly here as the laps continue to go green flags. We see the 8 is down on pit road again for his green flag stop.
Yeah, this will make 4 stops for him so far.
Meanwhile, we see the 101 of David Gainforth there getting passed by the 7.
And the 8 will take 4 tires and fuel, and he is 14.8 and away.
Looking at the back of the 101 machine, it looks like they were able to repair that car and still got a little bit of a crease there on the spoiler, but it's nothing like it was earlier on in the race. He may or may not have used a quick fix, but judging by the back of that car, it still does have a little bit of a indent in the bumper there. So my guess is he's gotten just a little bit of damage fixed during that caution, the one caution that we have had. So it's good to see that the 101 is still out there and he's still up to speed. As right now we see the 98 of David Washington. He's making the move on his teammate Carl Shedd on the inside as they come through 3 and 4. They are right behind the leader. Right now, Jonathan Easton is a sit and duck because the 98 and the 45 are marching. As the lead has been exchanged now, hand the lead back over to the 98 of David Washington. That'll drop Jonathan Easton back to 3rd place as Carl Shedd went with his teammate. So now it's back to Ford dominating the first 2 positions. But once again, there are only 5 Ford Fusions in this field. The rest is dominated by the Chevy SS. So get a good look there, the 71 of Keith Nelson. Completely off topic, but I remember specifically watching, since I am a kind of like a science geek or whatever, one of my favorite shows that comes on late at night is How It's Made. And one particular episode, they showed how these cars were built, and it just so happens that Junior Motorsports allowed access for the How It's Made crew to come in, and we saw how that Navy Chevy SS was made. So you see the 71 of Keith Nelson is going to go to the inside very easily of the 70, as well as the 85 of Judd Danielson. So I think what we're seeing here is what we saw at Atlanta after the cautions ended and we saw the green flag start. We're going to start seeing a lot of different battles going on all over the track. So we're looking at the 70 right now with Mike Donahue. Right behind him is the 8 of Nick Crawford. Behind him, the 22 of Jonathan Ramos.
Man, these guys are just clicking off the laps. I just remember looking up seeing 75, and now we're
already at 103. This is absolutely amazing that these guys do such a great job in maintaining green flag runs. I cannot speak the volume of how impressive this is to see. And I knew once I saw it at Daytona, I hoped that this was a precursor of things to see, and so far they have yet to fail in any aspect. The racing has been phenomenal. The car control, as we've seen so far, has been absolutely phenomenal. Everything is just absolutely on point with this league here. It's an absolute blast to come in every Tuesday night and broadcast these races. It is a 27 race season, and we are only 3 weeks in, so these first 3 weeks that we've seen so far, hopefully that is what we're going to see carry out through the entire 27 race season, because this is just absolutely a blast to sit up here and watch these guys go at it. As we see right now, the battle that's going on right now is between the 66 of Sean Meyer, who right now is being scored in 13th position. Now it's back to the 85 of Judd Nelson and the 71 of Keith Nelson.
As the 71 will drop in low there, and it does appear he's going to walk away with that position.
Looking at our top three right now, nothing has changed in the first two, but now up into third spot will be the 28 and last week's winner, Brian Johnson. We see the 101 right here of David Gainforth. He is trying his hardest right now to work over the 14 car.
It just seems like the 14, he's got a little bit more.
Gary's got the straightaways corner speed, but look at David in the straightaway. He's absolutely nailing it. It just seems that Gary's got a little bit more because he's running that higher line. He's able to get a better run off the corner, but David is holding his own on the straights.
I think if you watch right here as they go into the corner, I think that the 101's carrying a little bit too much speed on that lower line, and it's really scrubbing off as he's riding up.
Let's take a couple laps around from his point of view and see what he's doing here. As you can see, the rubber is flying up off the track. As we just saw a huge chunk of Goodyear rubber go flying off the windshield of the 101 of David Gainforth. As right now, it looks like he's door to door with the 14 of Gary Weston. But we see Gary's able to get that run because he does have the preferred line right here at Las Vegas. It's the same line we see at Texas, the same line we see at Atlanta. The bottom side, it is very hard to stick a pass here. But as we see a car well off pace right there, that'd be the 4 car. That's going to, oh, we got a little bit of contact. And we got the 14 going around, that's Gary Weston. He gets it refired. Let's go ahead and take a replay at that, and we're gonna go back a little bit. This would be the lap leading up into it right here. So you see right here, this is while we were riding on board and he was trying to complete the pass. We'll see that the 4 has gotten into the wall on the back, and that ultimately, right there we see the 4 hard into the wall. So the 66 is Sean Meyer, he's able to go down. The 14 and the 101 split, and then it looks like they just graze ever so slightly, which upsets the 14 car. He locks it down and backs it into the wall. That's enough, though, to where he stops on the track. He tries to get it fired and moved out of the way, but that is enough to bring out a caution here at Las Vegas. So we see heavy damage. Well, not so bad. I'd call that moderate damage there to the 14 car on the left rear. It's not, I've done way worse myself, but it's not that bad. As we see right now, all your leaders are coming down pit road. As we speak, Alan will give us the info on what the stops are as they are done. Looks like the 45 is going to beat his teammate off pit road.
It does appear that all those lead lap cars did take 4 tires and top that tank back off.
I think the most interesting thing out of all those stops is, did you see how, at least for the front 6 cars, they pretty much all got in their box at the same time, and the right sides all pretty much went up at the identical times. That was very unusual, but that was an awesome thing to see.
Yeah, that doesn't happen that way very often.
No, it does not. So yet another interesting thing that we've seen with this league now. I think right now is the perfect time while we're under caution to take a quick commercial break, and we will return hopefully with the field getting ready to restart this race.
So, off pit road, we have Carl Shed with the fastest time of a 13.3. He was down and away with 4 tires and fuel. Charlie Sanborn pulled it off with a 13.6. Bruce Ackerman with a 13.7. Jake Dorrington with a 13.8. Sean Muir with a 13.9. And Ken Richardson with a 14 flat. So, those guys were all right tight together. Really good stops.
And as we saw there, the 8 of Nick Crawford did get a free pass, so hopefully that'll bring him closer to getting back on the lead lap, as we are now going to be restarting this race on lap 118. So we're getting close to the 50 to go mark. I gotta say, this is once again one of the fastest races. I thought Daytona went by fast, and that was being Daytona, a 2.5 mile super speedway. That race, they were blazing fast with the lap times, consistent lap after lap after lap. We're seeing the same thing here we saw it at Atlanta, and now we're seeing it here at Las Vegas as well. So right now it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Is we got Carl Shed on the inside and his teammate David Washington on the outside. Brian Johnston is on the inside, and it looks like Bruce Ackerman is going to be second car on the outside road as the pace car dives down pit road. Carl Shed leads us in the restart zone. Green flag is out. We're back racing lap 118 out of 200 here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. as we take lap 121 here, we see the 28 of Brian Johnson. He's going to try and get around the 98 of David Washington, but David says, nope, I'm not having any of that. He's going to close the door on him here, as right now we see a battle going on between the 10 of Ken Ackerman and the 51 of Bruce Ackerman. Right behind him is Judd Danielson, Kevin Nelson in the, Keith Nelson in the 71. I've had a very, very long day, and I'm sure Alan has too, but we're both not morning people, so right now I'm literally floating on the wings of every ounce of Monster Energy that I was able to find in the local stores today. So if I butcher any names, that is completely because I am running on a pure lack of sleep. And straight sugar and caffeine all the way.
As the 98 is going to look low on the 45 here and try to take that lead away once again.
As we've also got the 85, he's still looking low on the 51.
Last week's winner there riding up in third.
That would be Brian Johnson in the 28 Mountain Dew machine. It looks like things are heating up for the lead here. They are almost 3 wide here. Technically, you could have called it 3 wide, but they weren't side by side. But it was still great to see them fanned out like that, going through the corners and through the tri-oval there. It's still a heated battle between the 28 and the 45. As now we see the 85. He's going to try and look low again on Ackerman, but he just cannot seal the deal yet. Right now, Brian's wheeling that 51 like Jimmy Johnson. As much as I don't like Jimmy Johnson, I got to respect him as a driver. Jimmy really knows how to run it. Oh, we see that there. 71's going around for a ride. That's going to bring the caution out. We're going to see it unfold right here. The one just gets into the left rear quarter. He tries to woe it up, but the one's going to go in the wall. The 71's locking it down, trying not to collect anybody. David Gainforth barely squeaks through there on the apron. No contact between that. It just looks like it was a little bit of a little bump and tap, almost like a bump and run, but didn't really work out for the one. I know we saw he tried to slow up, and there was a secondary tap there, but good job on both drivers by minimizing the damage to the cars, and especially on the 71 of Keith Nelson. Very good job there trying to get the car stopped and out of the racing groove.
He may have been able to save that as if it wasn't for that second tap, but then again, you know, that second tap may have been what saved him from destroying the car into the wall.
I think you're right on both angles. I mean, that first tap was enough to get the car sideways, and I think he could have saved it from that point, but I think that second smaller tap, as the Charlie was on the brakes and made contact that second time, I think that was enough to actually get the car to turn back to the right a little bit, and was able to get him to slow down and everything sort out. But I think the biggest thing to note out of that was the 101 of David Gainforth just barely squeaking through as Keith was making the car's way down to the apron.
Oh, absolutely. It was a great job by the 101 dodging that wreck. You know, he could have just been in a bad position there and completely obliterated that 71, but he did manage to get it down low enough and clear it. You know, these guys, like I said, they're just great at wreck avoidance. They're great at getting the car wheeling around the track.
I was absolutely expecting to see the 71 get bulldozed, but absolutely phenomenal car control by these drivers. I mean, I've seen it time and time again, especially just go back to what we just saw between the one of Charlie Sanborn and the 71 of Keith Nelson. Any other race that we would have been in, if we saw that same circumstance happen, that would have not been a simple just a couple bumps. One car takes it up into the wall to gather it up, and then the other one locks it down. What we normally would have seen is the car, for instance, Keith's car, we would have seen his car, the back end just light up with smoke, because usually driver's first instinct is just to mat the pedal to the floor to try and get it to rotate down, but very, very smart decision on Keith's part, and keeping control of that car, bringing it safely down to the apron, and as I said before, minimizing the damage on that 71 machine. And the same thing with the number one of Charlie Sanborn. He did a great job by backing off. Instead of staying full throttle, he could have easily turned the 71 even harder, which would have backed him hard into the wall and potentially thrown the one even harder in the outside wall. Great job by Charlie by putting that car up into the wall, out of the way, keeping the groove clean for the cars to get through.
I do believe that the 11 and the 8 here, we're going to get a wave by. This will put both of those cars back on the lead lap.
That's great to see the turnaround for the number 8 of Nick Crawford, as he was at one point 3 laps down in this race. Now, with him taking the wave by on this caution here, this will put him and the 11 back on the lead lap. So now Nick has definitely something to fight for, as we will restart this race with 70 laps to go here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And after the battle off of pit road, which we witnessed, we've got a new second place car. It's the 10 of Ken Richardson. So Carl Shedd is going to be your winner off of pit road. Ken Richardson's going to restart second, and David Washington is going to be your third place, with Brian Johnson in fourth. So this is definitely going to get interesting here, as we see Bruce Ackerman is sitting there in fifth spot. We've got also have the 66 of Sean Meyer, the 85 of Judd Danielson. There's a lot of fast cars sitting right up here in the front of the field.
And, you know, I would not be one bit surprised if this race actually goes green from here on out.
It would actually, it would shock me if we ended up with a would be considered a wreck, as the pace car dives down. Carl's going to lead us in the restart box. Good jump by him. Green flag is out. We're back. 70 laps to go here at Las Vegas. So he gets it, as I would say, Jeff Gordon's restart of a lifetime right there. He gets a great jump off the start, as he's got at least a 3 to 4 car length lead over his teammate, the 98 of David Washington. So great job there, not sleeping on the restart by Carl Shedd.
Yeah, you know, in the 51, Bruce Ackerman here, he's been battling all night trying to get his car up here. He is now sitting pretty in the top 3 spot.
You know, looking back at those restarts, I know a lot of people bitch and complain about jumping the restart, but honestly, that is the safest thing to do. If you jump that restart, you're not stacking the entire field up to where the back of the pack starts to see the car in front go, but then there's a checkup, and that's where we most usually find a wreck happening. But I say, if you're the leader, you have control of the restart, unless the league rule dictates that it's go on green only. But here, obviously, it's leader discretion. So in my books, anytime I have the opportunity to jump the restart and spread the field out, that is by far the safest and smartest thing to do here. As right now, David Washington is going to pass his teammate once again and regain that lead. As we bring up the drop down on him right now, he started on pole. He's led 74 laps. He's still sitting on pole, or in the lead. His fast lap is a 29.006, and his last lap by was a 29.343. So now add another lap. That's 75 laps led for him. Last lap being a 29.305. It appears that the 22 has taken that machine behind the wall as that motor has expired. So tough break.
Yeah, Art, actually what has happened here is out of 2, he caught the apron just a little bit and it sent the car into a wild spin and hard into the outside wall. Nobody else involved. He gets it back down off the racing surface and limps it to pit road.
Tough break there for Joshua Ramos. I'm sure that's not what his team wanted to see. With laps still to go here at Las Vegas, it's not what you want to see, putting your car on the haul or getting it prepped for next week.
And that 22 has already used his quick repair, so he will have to sit the long wait and get that car repaired before he can bring it back out on track.
Right now we've got a battle between the 101 of David Gainforth and the 66 of Sean Meyer happening.
As well as the 70 and the 71 back here right behind them.
There's action all over the track right now. We're doing our best to cover every little bit of it going on, but right now it's between the 101, the 66, the 70, and the 71. Out front, David Washington still has a 0.2 of a second lead over his teammate Carl Shedd. As right now, we see the 71 of Keith Nelson. He's really wanting to get up there, so he's going to fall down behind the 101 of David Gainforth, and here we go. Right now we got the 71 looking at the inside of the 101 as we see the 70s managed to make it around. He's going to now try and battle against the 66 of Sean Meyer. We see the 71 of Keith Nelson. He's going to the inside and he's able to make the pass, but we see David trying to get the crossover going. He just doesn't have the speed to keep it up, so right now the battle is still raging back here. We see David go all the way down to the white line on the backstretch, and we see a little bit of connectivity issues there with the 28 car of Brian Johnson, last week's winner. He's been doing it a little bit throughout the race. Hopefully his connection stabilizes out, because that's definitely one thing that you don't want to see when you're in the top 3 and you're racing close for position, is having a car in front of you blinking. So right now you got to be wondering, sitting in Bruce's seat right now, seeing that the third place car, the car that you're wanting to pass, is having a little bit of connection issues. Does that make you hesitate a little bit? Because you never know, if he does blink out, where is he going to reappear at? Is he going to hold his line, or is he going to try and move to a different line, and we end up sometimes seeing a car ghost into another car because of that? But as of right now, it looks like the connection issues on the 28 has straightened out.
You know, being that car behind him, the 51, the best thing to do is kind of just lay back and wait, see if that connection stabilizes. If not, you know, either ask the driver to let you by, or you drive it the way you drive it and hope that when he reappears, he's not inside your car, as iRacing's prediction software is supposed to keep that car blinked out if you're underneath it. Sometimes it doesn't always work.
I think it's more like my luck over the craps table earlier before the race, and that's 50-50 at best. Oh yeah, I've been meaning to ask, since I went over and hit the casino up, how's all-you-can-eat buffet?
Oh, you know what? I am stuffed to the gills. They had some great cocktail shrimp there that just hit the spot. They had some king crab legs on the buffet table, so I mean, I was having an all-you-can-eat seafood buffet. I was set.
That's no surprise, being that you're a fellow New Englander, even though I may be down in the South and I'm a defector, as some of my back home buddies would call me. They call me the traitor, but I was born and raised in the Northeast myself, in New England and Connecticut, and Alan, you're up in Maine, so definitely no surprise that you were all over the seafood, all-you-can-eat seafood buffet there. I would have been there myself.
If there's seafood on the menu, I'm eating.
Well, see, that's when I went to the doctor today, and she asked about my diet, and I told her I was on the seafood diet. She goes, "What's that?" I goes, "If I see food, I eat it."
10-4 on that.
So right now we see the 51 of Bruce Ackerman. He's finally going to try and make a move on the 28 of Brian Johnson as they go into one there. He's got the run in, but as we've been seeing all night, the outside gets the run off, so he's not going to be able to complete that pass this time. But I don't think we've seen the end. We do know that these guys are going to have to pit one more time. So I think right now it's a battle of getting as much track position, or right now deciding when to come down and call a strategy move on it to see if you can gain position. But as we see right there, as they come out of two, Bruce is running that low line. Brian's staying on that upper line. We're seeing Bruce going to dive it in here again. He can get door to door with Brian, but about midpoint of the corner off, it looks like that outside line just runs dominant here. As we've seen, it doesn't matter what series has been running here at Vegas. It is just extremely hard to pass on the inside, but we see the 28 looks like he's going to let the 51 by. So smart move there by Brian, knowing that he can always challenge back for the position. So that'll move Bruce Ackerman up to the third spot with the 28 of Brian Johnson right on his back bumper. And the 10 of Ken Richardson right behind him. He's going to try and make a move now on the 28 as well.
So on the plus side, Art, it does appear the wind has died down a little bit here and the snow has let up. So I'm not going to get near as buried as I thought I was, and it does not look like I'm going to have a power issue.
Well, that is really good, seeing how we are now at 50 laps to go.
Unbelievable. These guys are just ticking these laps off.
Not only that, but they are still racing their hearts out doing it as well.
Yeah, you know, we're getting about 2 laps a minute here, so 50 laps, we're looking at just under a half hour.
And that is blazing fast speed right here, especially, I can't say it enough, the A car with the fixed setup is just so horrible the way iRacing puts it out, and these guys are just able to sling these cars around the track like they're the real deal counterparts. It's absolutely phenomenal to see this year. Out front, it's still David Washington in the 98. He's got a 0.2 of a second lead over Carl Shed and a 1.3 second lead over third place of Bruce Ackerman in the 51 right there.
So it looks like the one car has an issue here coming out of turn 2. He gets a little high, scrubs the wall, comes down and slams that inside wall where there's no safer barrier. We didn't see it. There was no caution. I kind of backtracked through the replay a little bit here myself and was able to see it. He just, he gets a little high up out of the groove, slams the wall, and then he comes down to that inside wall where there is no safer barrier again and just completely pancakes the left side of the
Oh, so we got another car just went hard into the wall. He's upside down. He is below the racing surface, but that right there was a very hard hit. I believe it was the 70 or the 71. All right, here we go. We're going to actually backtrack this. This did not trip a caution, but it was such a violent wreck. I feel that we need to show this. We see the 70 car. He gets the wall there, and watch this. The car just goes dead. Oh, that is, ow, that's a Jeff Gordon hit right there. That is exactly what I was talking about earlier. He slammed the opening where the safety vehicles come out. That is the most hardest and brutalest spot that you can hit on the track.
Yeah, and watching this wreck that is almost identical to what the one did, but the one, oof, that's brutal. The one hit about 15 feet back on that straight part.
Oh, that is the absolute worst place that you can spin that car, and especially to go nose first into the wall at the speeds these cars are going. That right there is enough. That can do some serious damage, not only to the car, but to the driver.
Medic!
That right there, I wouldn't doubt they have to, when they brought that car down on pit road, that they had to change the steering wheel because the other one was bent plumb over. That, or these guys are smart enough and they know the Danica rule or the NASCAR safety rule that if you see that you're heading towards an inside wall, you let go of the steering wheel and you brace for impact.
Yeah, that car's pretty well done, I'm sure. They'd be better off to pull the dipstick out, drive a new car underneath it because that one is done. Put it in the hauler.
I don't know if they'd be able to fit it in there. It looks like the car got a little bit wider after pancaking that wall head on. So your top three is still looking the same. David Washington is still leading it with a 1/10 of a second lead over the 45 of Carl Shed and a 2.2 second lead over third place of Bruce Ackerman. We see that the 10 of Ken Richardson has been able to get by the 28 of Brian Johnson, so that'll move him up as well. He is sitting in fourth, and Brian is now our fifth place card. Judd Danielson will be our sixth, so looking back there, we can see that purple car. That is our sixth place car at the moment.
I'll tell you, that 98 out front is looking a lot like Sunday night's number 10. He is just blistering the pace here, dominating the race. He has led 103 of these laps as we're looking at 38 laps to go, coming to take 37. You know, Carl Shed led 47 laps out of that 200. So, I mean, unbelievable pace.
And I hate using terms over and over again, but the 98 is doing exactly what Todd did on Sunday with DieHard, and he is just dominating. We have seen nothing but an absolute show of domination by the 98 car tonight. As we're down to 36 laps to go now, you can see the rubber has built up in the corners finally, and not too much marble sitting up there like we saw last week at Atlanta. You could literally look around the track and you could see a heavy berm of marbles. We did see a few drivers last week get up into those marbles, and we can actually see chunks flying off of the nose right now, the 28, as they're coming through turns 3 and 4. So these Goodyear tires, and I hope I don't get fined by NASCAR because I'm about to pull a Kyle Busch line here. Goodyear hasn't had a good year yet. So you see the 10 of 10 of Ken Richardson. He is on pit road.
Yeah, I think some of these guys may have snuck down pit road without our catching them, as they're probably making their last rounds of pit stops here. As you know, these cars could go about 47 laps a run here, and you know, looking at this, they're under that window. So I mean, these guys could have been sneaking pits in before I realized it.
Well, if you did, it definitely wasn't really within inside the top 10 too much. I think the only one that really caught my attention is when the 10 car dove down pit road, because right now it's still looking pretty much the same. Right now we see Kevin Fetty rounds out our top 10. So
66 is coming down this time.
There we go. We're going to have some more green flag pit stops happening here as we're entering the closing laps here. It's absolutely amazing to be saying this early into a broadcast. I mean, usually we are never on such a fast-paced schedule here. I mean, I can remember, as we see Kevin Fetty get a piece of the wall there. Good job keeping control of the car. So we see the 3 was able to back off. It doesn't look like he was able to sustain any damage, but we do see some right side damage to the 91 Fusion there of Kevin Fetty. So hopefully that's not going to upset the handling of the car too much. I mean, everybody backed off, and it does look like he is still maintaining speed, but that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on, because it did look like he got a pretty good chunk of that wall. So you got to wonder if it might have done a little bit. As we see, leaders are on pit road, 98 and 45. That will hand the lead over to the 51 of Bruce Ackerman for right now. Brian Johnson will be your second place car.
Both of those cars, the 98 and the 45, did take 4 tires.
And now we have the 51 coming down pit road. So once again, leader pit road. right, so right now I'm seeing the number 10 of Ken Richardson being scored as our new leader. David Washington is 9/10 of a second behind him, and then behind that will be the 45 of Carl Shedd. So with that being said, we are going to pull up our little graphic here. We're going to look at the summary so far. We have completed 173 laps, 19 lead changes, and I think the biggest thing to point out so far is 3 cautions for 12 laps.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, that's pretty well on par with, NASCAR drivers. I mean, I think they actually had more than 3 cautions here this weekend at Las Vegas.
I wouldn't know because I refuse to watch the racing anymore because of what's this segment racing and all this junk. I'm an old school guy. I've already caught a bunch of flack for voicing my opinion on it. I know they've got to do things that are inventive and creative to keep the fans engaged and to promote the world of racing, but to me there's a million things better they could have done than introducing the caution clock and then the chase and then now this racing everything in segments. I mean, okay, I can see the point where it levels the competition and all that, but other than that, it's just annoying. I know probably the next few things that come out of my mouth are going to probably put a sour taste, especially if you're a Jimmy Johnson fan, but Jimmy Johnson is not a 6-time champion. He did not win 6 seasons where he was the points leader after the entire season.
You did not just go there, did
Yes,
you
I
really?
did, because Chase, this Chase thing, no. Go back to Winston Cup when racing was at the all-time spectator high. Everything was right. The era of Darrell Waltrip, Rusty Wallace, Davey Allison, Alan Kawicki, Dale Earnhardt Sr. That right there was the hardcore original NASCAR that we all grew up watching and loving. And now seeing what this sport has turned into, it's almost a mockery to the guys that built this sport over 60 years ago when they originally raced on the beach.
And I don't disagree with you on that. I mean, unfortunately, I don't agree with the new format. I didn't agree with the chase change originally. It's just bring me back to the Winston Cup days where, you cut these drivers loose on a track and let them have at it for, the whole 36 race season, and then here, you're the winner. You're crowned. Done deal. You worked for it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The chase had good intentions because, I mean, look at Martin Truex. If there's any shining example of how the chase benefited teams, look at the 78 camp. Martin Truex was running for a single car team out of Denver. So look at all your NASCAR teams. Where are they based? Charlotte, North Carolina. That's NASCAR Hub USA. And to see Ryan Truex with the Furniture Row Denver Mattress team running out of Denver, Colorado, they've got a long way to go unless they're making the West Coast swing like we are right now. So by Truex getting up there and being able to win like at Pocono, that locked him into the chase where he was eligible to be the champion, which was a good thing. Out front, we've had, no surprise, another lead change, and it's back to the 98 of David Washington as we were on our little NASCAR side rant right there. He's gone ahead and he's opened up a 0.2 of a second lead over second place of the 45, so both cars have managed to get around the 10 of Ken Richardson, and it looks like David Washington is going to continue to dominate here at Las Vegas as we have 18 laps remaining here to go So the laps have just absolutely been flying by. 17 to go this time by at the stripe. I don't think anybody has anything right now for that 98 car. That Ford Fusion is just absolutely flying.
Somebody sound the horn, because that car is on the rail.
I think they might need to do a motor claim after the race, because that thing is just absolutely moving. I mean, look at the gap he's opened up. And he's continuing to pull a gap. He loses a little bit in the corner, but then right as soon as off exit, it comes right back up. It's exactly what we saw Sunday night with Todd when he was just absolutely, I think, what, 3 cars finished on the lead lap. He literally lapped almost the entire field, and in the closing laps at Phoenix, he was watching the battle for 3rd position take place. He had, I think, just around a 4.5 to 5 second lead over 2nd place Robert Barris, but the real action that we were following was the battle for 3rd, where Josue Teles managed to get around the 12 of Caleb Thompson and bring home another podium finish in the K&N car. So what we're seeing here tonight out of the 98 is exactly what we saw out of the 10 car. And we have a caution on the track. That's going to shake things up here, folks. Looks like it was the 8 that brought that one out, so we're going to go ahead and get you guys the replay on that. See the 14 here, you got a little piece of the wall, and then we see it looks like the 8 just lost it as well, because we saw you got a piece of the wall there, but for some reason the replay did not thumb straight to the 8 car, so it looks like he apparently just got loose coming through the corner and smoked that wall like we've seen a few of these cars do here tonight. That unfortunately is not good for the 8 cars. He's already, I believe, used his quick repair, and he's been battling all night to get back into position as we see the field gather up behind the pace car here.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at that replay right now, and it does look like the car just broke loose on its own there in turn 4, and it looks like he went to turn it up the hill a little bit to try to correct it. The car grabs, violently hooks, and throws him up, and he gets hard into the wall.
Tough break for the 8 there of Nick Crawford. As I had mentioned, he has been battling all night to get over the lap deficit that he had at one point. He was down 3 laps. As right now, these cars right here are not on the lead lap, but we see our leaders coming off of pit road right now. I think a lot of these guys are going to be taking their wave by or coming down to pit road. As we see the 70, good to see him back out after being released from the infield care center after absolutely destroying that inside wall. So our leader is right there, the 98 of David Washington. So we see the lap down cars. I do believe that the 45 would be the leader. See what happens as they cross the line in the timing loop updates here. Yep, the 45 will be your leader. The field is frozen at the time the caution comes out, so that isn't going to play into effect here because I'm guaranteed that all the lead lap cars came down for at least 2 right sides, because we will restart this race with either 10 or less laps remaining.
Art, looking at your pit road time, I would say the top 9 cars came down pit road and took 4 tires and fuel.
So a full fuel load, that'd be pretty much my call, even though it's towards the end of the race. It really doesn't matter because I want the weight in the car and I want as much grip as possible. So 4 tires and fuel would definitely be my call, especially since it's not a green flag stop. As we see right now, the one of Charlie Sanborn is somewhere down there on that bottom line. Was blinking a little bit. Now he's all but disappeared. So there he is. He's down in the apron. I think he's stopped the car and he's resetting it to pit road. So that'll negate any black flags that may have incurred for passing under yellow. All right, so cars are going by now. All right, so now we see the cars lining up double file. The lights are out on the pace car. We will restart this race with 10 laps remaining. Who's going to bring home the victory? Because right now, I'm calling it on the 98.
I mean, that 98's been strong all night, and he's great on a short run. I mean, he can get that car out there and just set sail. So look to see that 98 in the mix. Keep an eye on that 28 as that's last week's winner. So, I mean, anything can happen here.
I think what needs to happen right now is instead of jumping this time, I think Carl needs to stack the field. That way he doesn't get such a runaway lead and let the 98 be able to catch on the long run there. That way it kind of levels the playing field. But we'll see what happens as the pace car is making its way through 3 and 4, and it'll dive down pit road for hopefully the last time. As we see our leader, the 45, he's going to jump again. Green flag is out. 10 laps to go here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Let's see how long before that 98 dives to the inside, and it does not appear like it's going to be long as he is glued to the rear end of the 45 as they come out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. I gotta say, out of an entire field of pretty much Chevys, these 2 Fords are putting them all to shame.
Yeah, and that 98, he's taking these guys to school. You watch what's going to happen here. He's going to ride right behind this 45 until he really has a good run and makes that pass, as they're just setting a pace to leave the field behind.
Because right now they've got a 0.6 second gap over third place of Brian Johnson, who is last week's winner. But right now we see David's going to take that car down the apron to maximize every inch of track he can. 8 laps to go. He's got 16 more corners to go around and see if he can do that. Or 36 more corners, excuse me. Math's a little off. Once again, I'm running on no sleep, caffeine, and sugar, so my math was never good to start with. It's even worse when you are tired on top of that. But 7 laps to go this time around. Carl Shedd is your leader by a hair right now, as the 98 is all over the back end. He's looking to the inside as they go in. And he is all but got that position as they come off onto the backstretch. They're still neck and neck racing. I think we'll see the 98 get it here coming through 3 and 4, as right now they're still side-by-side racing it out, but as they come out, the 98 is going to clear the 45.
But that lets the 28 of Brian Johnson get right to the back of that 45. So don't count him out yet.
I think that right there was the power play of the race. That was absolutely, hands down, an amazing show of talent right there, as he just set that car perfect and just drove it right where he needed to. set the car up on the outside and just took the position. And now we're going to see that the 45 is probably going to be doing a little bit more mirror driving here, as he's not too worried about trying to retake the lead. He wants to hold on to that second spot, but that second spot is under fire by the 28 of Brian Johnson. Right now, it'll be 4 laps to go at the line here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the 98 was just waiting for his tire pressures to come up so he could make that violent move to the inside without losing the car.
Just yet another thing that he can add to his resume of amazing things that we've seen him do tonight, on top of dominating the race. That right there was probably the race-winning move. 3 laps to go.
At this point, it is his race to give away, so he's just got to hold these guys off.
Right now, it's going to be...
out, that will end the race.
Yep, the race is over now, so your winner will be the 98 of David Washington. Folks, we're going to see what brought out that final caution there that ended the race, but oh, huge checkup here. Huge checkup in the back of the field. The 14 almost drilled the 22 there. As they come to the stripe, it'll be one more circuit around this track, and the 98 can start feeding those donuts to the poor. He dominated the entire race, and he's gonna bring home the victory on top of it. So absolutely phenomenal job by David Washington. As we're gonna take a look here, he started on pole. He'll lead 125 laps out of the total 200. His fastest still stands as a 29.006, but that's just, when you look at that right there, that is absolutely impressive. As the field comes out of turn 4 for the last time, the 98 is gonna cross that line and take the checkered flag here. So score a 3rd race in the books. Once again, it was another very fast-paced, very clean race here with the Mr. Shift Racing League. So your winner tonight of the Mr. Shift Racing League, Mr. Shift Las Vegas 300 will be the 98 of David Washington. Carl Shedd will come home 2nd, and last week's winner, Brian Johnson, will bring it home 3rd. We will get the interviews going here shortly, and then we will go directly into the post-race show, where we will try and come back and find the replay so we can show you what brought out the race-ending caution. As the 98 is going to bring it to the checkered stripe and start burning it down. He deserves that right there because he worked his butt off the entire race. Not only can he dominate a race, he can do some absolutely sick donuts too. So as we are working right now, we're trying to find our drivers here. We've got our third place finisher in the green room waiting. We're trying to get our second place and our race winner in here. So I'll just go over a brief recap while we're doing so. We had very good long green flag racing. We'll go ahead and bring up the summary here. Out of the 200 laps complete, we had 22 lead changes. We had 6 cautions for 18 laps. Your leader and your winner was David Washington. So right on par pretty much with the actual Monster Energy Cup as far as caution-wise go. But out of 200 laps, they only have 18 of them be caution laps. That's pretty impressive right there.
Brian, what a race tonight. Brought it home third. Let us know what you think.
Well, it was all right. Ending the race under caution was not what I wanted. Yeah, race was really nice though. Lots of green flag runs. I just could not get past those two guys up at the front. I don't know what it was. Well, we were running the same line, and on the restart they got away a little bit, and so I had to catch up to them and tore up some tires there, and so I just didn't have anything for him at the end, and then the caution came out. So third's all right. I hope the trend doesn't continue. At Daytona, I won it last week, finished second, now third. I hope something changes here.
Yeah, you don't need to keep falling back. You're doing. At least you're getting some decent points. You're staying up there in the top 5. So.
Oh yeah, you definitely can't argue with that. Great points day. So hopefully, the top 5s will still come. If I can keep finishing in the top 5, I'll be happy.
Well, good luck to you next week there. And is there anybody you'd like to thank?
I just gotta thank you guys for broadcasting this race and the viewers for watching and the guys putting on the league. I can tell you one thing though, I'm gonna have some nightmares about a little shrimp named Chef Andy.
Okay, I'm not entirely sure what that is intended towards.
on on the back of their car, there's a little shrimp and it says Chef Andy on it. So.
Oh, okay. I did not see that. I mean, I did not get in close enough to see.
I was watching that, and I was waiting to see how long it would wait for you to say something about it. But I knew exactly what he meant when he said it.
All right, Brian. Well, good luck to you next week, and we'll see you then.
All right, thank you guys.
That was your third place finisher, Brian Johnson. As he said, he's gotten a second, he's gotten a win, and now he's gotten a third place. So hopefully the trend doesn't continue, like you said, of sliding backwards. But right now, his trend is still good. He's gotten top three finishes in the first 3 races here. So that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring in our second place finisher, Carl Shed.
All right, so here's second place, Carl Shed.
All right, Carl. You guys once again never fail to impress. Long green flag runs, great green flag pit stops. We had 6 cautions for a total of 18 laps out of 200. How does it feel to come in second, and how did the track feel tonight? Because it looked like you guys had that fixed setup on a rail.
Yeah, the setup felt really solid tonight. It was a little tighter than we'd like it to be. Weather was a little cooler than the AFIX and the NIS, so it was actually a little more free than that. So it felt really good. You had to be really nice to the car for the first 20 laps for those, so you could kind of ease into those last 20. But yeah, the car was hooked up well. It didn't really change much over the run. Just slowed down. So good night, easy run, fun drive.
I think the one thing that needs to be pointed out too, that in a mostly dominated field of Chevrolets, the first 2 cars that crossed the stripe were both Fords.
Yeah, we did that a little bit a season or two ago. Our team switched from Chevys to Ford. We noticed we were always surrounded by Chevys. A little bit of superstition, and then since iRacing has updated the audio packages, so every car kind of has their own unique feel. It was going to be temporary, but all of us got kind of so hooked into it that when we tried to go back, it just wasn't working. So I guess we're all stuck with Fords. They're doing good for us though, so we'll keep it.
Well, it seems to be working good too in real life too, because look at the Stewart Haas Racing making the switch from Chevrolet over to Ford, and who won the Daytona 500? Kurt Busch in a Ford. So strong finish tonight, and we gotta wonder: is the '98 your teammate?
Yes, sir. Dave's run with me for a long time, so I joined his Aegis team. We've run a few leagues together, and our good buddy Bruce Ackerman and I, you saw him running up there near the front with us tonight. He's taking some time off, so we're getting back in with him together, and all kind of getting the band back together a little bit. So Dave and I've run together for years. He's been a good coach and mentor and helping me out. So you could see that in the way we finished tonight, 1-2. I was trying to get to him, but don't think I had anything for him.
I
Well,
honestly don't think anybody on the track had anything for him. He absolutely showed utter dominance.
I think he was taking you to school.
He
He
schooled the
was, he
entire
was.
field.
That's how he does it. That's how he does it. When you think you've got him, he's just giving a little back to save those tires. So he's tricky. You never know what he's got up his sleeves.
Well, that's definitely going to make the winners interview that more interesting. But congratulations on the second place finishes. Is there anybody that you would like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my teammates here. Dave, obviously, he's always been a good friend, good teacher, and my buddy Bruce. It's great to have him back. He had a great run, a great car tonight. Just some misfortune there, and thanks to you guys, you put on a great show. It's always fun to watch it the next day and kind of see what went on away from my cockpit. And thanks to my family for putting up with this hobby that we're all a part of here. So you guys have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Yes, as we continue our swing on the West Coast, we'll be going to Auto Club. Hopefully, we get to interview you in Victory Lane once again. So we'll see you next week, buddy.
10-4, fellas. Catch you then.
That was our second place finisher, Carl Shed. Now we're going to bring in the ringer and our winner, David Washington. All right, David, you definitely showed one thing, and we got a little bit of insight from your teammate there, Carl, that you were basically a mentor and all that. You showed complete, utter dominance the entire race. That was the most impressive piece of driving I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, I just Judd had first told me about it, and I didn't realize Carl was running over here and Bruce too. And I figured, what the heck, the races are a little bit longer, give me a little bit more seat time, because I try to get in a few different leagues a week. My main league is on Monday, but yeah, I saw you guys and had to come give it a shot.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You definitely took the entire field to school tonight. You led 125 out of 200 laps here at Las Vegas. How does that feel?
Feels pretty good. I was talking to Carl throughout the whole race, and I think Brian and a couple of the other guys that were behind us at the beginning. I think if they would have watched a little bit longer instead of trying to chase at the beginning, they would have probably been right there with us at the end, make it a little bit more interesting.
Well, this league has shown, if anything, that you guys definitely have the patience, the motivation, and definitely the skill set to drive undoubtedly the hardest oval car on a fixed set, especially at these intermediate tracks where the speeds are so high with the transitions going into the banking, the car can get loose and get ultra tight, but 6 cautions for 18 laps. That right there is right on par with the actual Monster Energy Cup. So I can't praise it enough that 3 races in a row. I know this is only the 3rd race in out of 27 races, but never fails. Everybody puts on an amazing show. This is hands down the best racing that we have covered yet. So coming in with your first race, you walk away with a victory. That right there is like the creme de la creme.
Yeah, it does feel good. And I'm sure as the season goes on, these guys will catch on and start watching a lot more. And just, trying to pick our lines apart and, seeing where they can get around us. But yeah, I'm not super fast at the beginning, so those guys will be close. But like Carl said, though, in the long run, if you abuse those tires, they're not going to be your friend at the end.
Well, with next week, us moving on, still on the westward kick, we go to Auto Club. I think that we're going to see the 98 to be another force to be reckoned with again, as we saw tonight, as you just once again completely destroyed the field. You did an amazing job, hands down. You bring home the checkered flag. Is there anybody that you would like to thank?
Yeah, definitely. League for letting me come in, Mr. Shift. You guys for broadcasting. Uh, Carl for coming in team speak throughout the whole race, and Bruce and a bunch of other guys that were watching there. Definitely a fun series. Looking forward to more races.
All right. Well, don't want to hold you too much longer because, as always, it seems that it's a trend that's been growing that the crew chiefs get very angry at me for holding the drivers. They need you over in victory lane pronto so they can get the trophy out to you and start spraying the Budweiser or whatever they got over there. So congratulations once again on the win, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully you can make it back to back.
We're going to try, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, I have a few small corrections here that we need to take a look at. Mid-race there, we called Brian Johnson as last week's winner. It was not. It was Charlie Sanborn III that wins Atlanta last week.
That's right, because Brian won Daytona, so that makes it 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there's not been a repeat winner yet this season. The other correction is we are at Phoenix next week.
Okay, my schedule is showing Auto Club, but I'll go ahead and take a look at it again. But still, it follows the NASCAR season, so that would be fitting that we would go to Phoenix. But with that being said, we will go ahead and go into the results here tonight. Obviously, our winner in a 100% show of dominating force, coming home after leading 125 of the 200 laps, the 98 of David Washington is our winner. Coming home second is his teammate, and I think another force that we're going to see to reckon with now, the 45 of Carl Shed. Brian Johnson is going to bring it home third. The 10 of Ken Richardson will bring it home fourth. Keith Nelson in the 71, who we saw all night battling for position, is going to be our fifth place finisher, excuse me. Judd Danielson in the 85 will come home sixth. Jake Dorton in the 7 will come home in 7th spot. Kevin Fetty in the 91 will bring it home 8th. The 101 of David Gainforth, who we saw had contact early in the race, was able to save the car, brings it home 9th. David May in the 3 is going to round out your top 10. Gary Weston in the 14 is going to come home 11th. Glenn Merring in the 11 is going to come home 12th. Bruce Ackerman in the 51, who is obviously driving the right paint scheme because he was running that car a lot like Jimmy Johnson tonight. He's going to bring it home 13th. Mike Donahue in the 70 is going to roll home 14th. Nick Crawford in the 8, who we saw battling the entire night to get back on the lead lap and then to get involved, I think, in a self-spin out of 4. He's going to bring it home 15th. Sean Meyer in the 66, who we saw was part of a little bit of an incident earlier on. He's going to bring home 16th. The 43 of Chad Payne is going to be your 17th place finisher. Charlie Sanborn, who was your Daytona, or was it Atlanta? He was one of our winners. He's going to come home Atlanta last week. He's going to come home 18th this week. The 22 of Joshua Ramos is going to come home 19th, and running out your top 20 will be the 4 of Jonathan Eason. 21st goes to Aiden Kohler Jr., Mike Learman in the 41, 22nd, William Eason, 23rd, and rounding out the field will be the 49 of Howard Wendell.
Well, our awesome race tonight. I mean, great long green flag runs. We did have a few mishaps, but you know what? That's to be expected. 4 cautions, 200 laps.
6 cautions for 18.
Well, still, even 6 cautions. I mean, you're looking at 200 laps. I mean, that's a lot of laps to get around this circuit in the time we made it, and 6 cautions. I don't know. These guys are great.
Well, as I said, it was right on par with NASCAR. These guys, week in and week out, so far have shown nothing other than perfection. We see exactly the same things that we would see in real life. Nothing like any of the other races that I've watched where it's nothing but wreckfests or people getting pissed off at somebody else and dumping them, or just racing over their head, over their skill set, or just with the wrong attitude. This group definitely knows what they're doing, especially, like I said, with the A car being one of the hardest cars to drive on a fixed set. It's either wrecking loose or it's dump truck tight. These guys make it look like the car is on a rail. So once again, my hat is off to the entire field for putting on such an amazing show. And with that being said, that's going to bring this race to an end. It was action-packed from beginning to finish here at Las Vegas. And as we continue our West Coast swing next Tuesday, hopefully we'll see a repeat win, but I think we have a new number to worry about, and that'll be the 98. So for everybody here at DieHard Live TV, I want to thank everybody for watching, and we will see you guys next week.
I didn't want to leave while you guys were talking. Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Yeah, that's a fun track. Like I said before, it's patience.